This is Dune Talk, a DuneNewsNet.com production. Join us now for the latest Dune news, reactions, and lively discussions.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Dune Talk. This is the official show of DuneNewsNet.com, where we discuss everything Dune: books, movies, games, comics, collectibles, and more. Well, this past weekend there was a certain film awards show. Mark is here, and I'm excited to celebrate with the rest of the crew and talk about all that went down.
Hey, it's Garin. Welcome back, everyone. Excited to talk about the awards, the Oscars in particular, and I think it's going to be pretty interesting.
Yes, Johnny Sobchak here again. It's been a long time coming on this road. It was like road to filming, and then road to release, and then COVID and pandemic, and now Oscar season, and it's finally here. So I'm really excited to dive into all the results and discuss it with you guys.
Yep, the golden path has started for Denis Villeneuve's epic Dune saga. Curious to know what you guys think. We haven't talked about like our reactions to all the awards and the lack of awards.
Great, we're going straight into movie news.
Dune Movie News.
So it's been an impressive film awards season for Denis Villeneuve's Dune Part 1. The movie has received hundreds of nominations across industry and racked up an impressive list of wins. It's not only the amount, but Dune has often been the most awarded movie of the year, whether it was the BAFTAs, HTA Film Awards, and others. For the 94th Academy Awards, it was no different. Dune led the night, taking home 6 Oscar awards, and compared to Coda, which won the Best Picture, that one won 3. Impressive overall performance. Johnny, I know that you got a lot of your awards predictions right for the night. I want to hear your overall thoughts on Oscars and the award season overall from Dune perspective. Is this the best possible scenario for Dune?
Yeah, for Part 1, I would say it's pretty much the best possible scenario, just given kind of how I expected things to pan out, knowing that it is a Part 1, people know Part 2 is coming. And there's certainly more story to tell and for things to grow and get even better. I also want to preface this conversation with something that I said a long time ago, like months ago. And that is that awards are not the end all be all by any means of anything, quality, what have you. I enjoy covering awards. I enjoy talking about them, analyzing them. I think it's a lot of fun. It's like sports. You have your team and you root for them. And in this, you have your artists and your films and you root for them. Of course, I think the movie speaks for itself. Blade Runner 2049, Denis Villeneuve's previous film, only got 5 nominations, only won 2 awards at the Oscars. And I was just as stoked about that. And I love that movie just as much as Dune. That being said, I was elated last night when all this kind of came to fruition for the most part with regards to Dune's Oscar achievements, and that is coming off of the 10 nominations that I said that it was going to get like 2 years ago when they were really kind of just getting ready to start filming. And I've been keeping track all along, and everyone that's been involved. And I remember when Patrice Vermette signed up, and production designer, and Joe Walker said that he was coming on, and Greg Fraser. And so it's just, and my life is like so different now. It's just really strange to like think back and look at how everything has like come to this. And like Simon said, they're really just getting started. I mean, this is a Part 1, and the golden path is just kind of illuminating, hopefully. And even though it was 10 nominations and the 6 win, there's still higher heights to get to, I think, and that's really exciting. I mean, look at Lord of the Rings. I mean, that won 4 Oscars as well, had like 13 nominations for Fellowship of the Ring. I'm sure people are like, wow, that's really impressive, like especially right out the gate with their first film. And then 2 years later, you have Return of the King, like 11 nominations, 11 wins. And I am so confident that Part 2 is just going to be bigger and better and more epic and shocking. And I think people are really going to be drawn to that. And I think a big part of awards, for me at least, in my perception, is that I think it really does help get the name of the film out there and like gets it in front of more people, like draws more attention to the film. It's basically free marketing. Coda, Best Picture winner, had 3 awards. Dune had 6. That was, Dune, Coda had second most. So I just couldn't have been happier seeing Greg Fraser finally win an Oscar, coming right off the Batman, and everyone, he's like on top of the world right now. I feel like everyone's just like over the moon with him and his work recently. Patrice Vermette, who I've been a big fan of his work, winning for production design. Joe Walker, who I think is the best editor working today, finally winning after working on films like Arrival and 12 Years a Slave and Sicario and Blade Runner 2049, some of my favorite movies of all time. I'm just so stoked. And then the sound team and the visual effects team, which are the best, basically like a dream team at this point in the industry, getting their due as well. And then even the teams of the categories that didn't win, makeup and hairstyling to be nominated. I was just really happy for that. And Donald Mowat, and then of course the costume design. It was exceptional, and I know it's going to be just even more exceptional for part 2 with some of the characters they're bringing in. So, and then Hans Zimmer. I mean, can't forget Hans Zimmer, of course, with one of his best scores ever. I think most people would say, getting his first Oscar since The Lion King, which was out. And he got that Oscar before I was born, not to make anyone.
I was going to ask
if you.
I was going to ask, were you even born when The Lion King came out, John?
I was not. So it's like, wow, you think about all the amazing work Hans Zimmer's done, and it's not until Dune when he gets that second Oscar. So I'm just so excited. I mean, I was jumping out of my chair when I saw that Joe Walker won and Patrice Vermette, and these categories are maybe a little bit more contested than some of the others, like sound and visual effects. I was just really, really pleased. And, I certainly want to hear what everyone else thinks about it, but it was just a long time coming. And I was very happy to be, I don't want to say I was right all along, but you know how it goes. I was right again about this.
6 out of 10. That's a pretty awesome batting average, if you ask me. Was very excited. My fiance had a friend over, and she had never seen Dune, and every time she saw a shot, she's like, wow, that looks amazing. And I think she's coming over next Sunday to watch it with us. But it's nice to see the people that won them. But overall, I every time I heard Dune won, I was like, I started kissing my fingers like, yes, this is how it starts, and just even congratulations to everyone that was nominated, that worked so hard on this film. And it's crazy to think, like you were saying, when we first heard that this movie was coming out, Chalamet getting casted, I went back and looked at an interview with him and Stephen Colbert, when he first got announced, and he looks even more like a child. But it's great. It's only the beginning. And you're right, it's word of mouth. I think more people are going to be interested if, the visuals that they showed at the Academy Awards, people that might have just heard of Dune, but now seeing that it wins best editing, best sound, best original score, which that is crazy about Hans Zimmer, that it's been since The Lion King. We're all good.
I agree with you guys on the awareness that this brings, sort of the authority that this brings to this story that we all love so much. But it just gives so much credibility to science fiction film in general, because just like you mentioned, Johnny, with Blade Runner 2049 and some others that I feel like didn't get the full recognition that they deserved, or the respect that maybe they deserve. I like that here we have a science fiction film based on a novel that is not, it's not shallow, it's not fluff, it's not just action. This has a lot of deep storylines, a lot of themes that are really important. And I love that I'm watching the Oscars, and this story that I respect so much is getting recognition up there with formidable competitors. I mean, these films, I haven't seen all of them, but the ones that I have seen, these are works of art. This is people at the top of their game. And here we have Denis Villeneuve and the rest of the crew and the teams and the creatives, and they are playing at the highest level. They're being recognized at the highest level. And I just could not be more excited. Just like you were saying, Simon, one after the next, I was just like, this is the confirmation that I wanted, because this story means so much to me and it has so much depth to it. I love that we have a director that brought the creative level of expertise to bring this part 1 to the screen. And I agree with you, Johnny. I think this is just the beginning. I really believe that this is going to be a recognition that will only increase as more people start to appreciate this movie and appreciate the creative team in all aspects. So Yeah, I was just cheering. I mean, it was like watching my team win the Super Bowl. It was just awesome.
It's just great for the sci-fi community that something so dense, and once again, I'm not bashing Star Wars. I love Star Wars, but something that's not so popcorn sci-fi, that is really deep meta, sci-fi, and such an important piece of literature in the sci-fi world now is getting the love in the film world. Obviously there's still those David Lynch diehard fans from '84, and I'm one of them. But this is filmmaking at its best, and it's just nice to see everyone rewarded for all their hard work. And Dune Part 2 cannot get here soon enough.
It's interesting, Simon, to think about. I was thinking about that last night because there was, well, not last night, but this afternoon, because I'm sure you guys saw that photo of Kyle MacLachlan and Timothy Chalamet at the party, the after party, and they're both doing the pose from Part 1, which is so cool. And I'm just thinking to myself, I wonder what Kyle MacLachlan's thinking about this. Like, and now that you mentioned David Lynch, like his name in particular, I'm just thinking like, David Lynch, I'm sure could not care less about the Oscars. And he's beyond that as an artist. But just thinking like, for those people that were so integral with that original film, and it does have its place and, in some regards, but to be here now, like Kyle MacLachlan at this party with these people that just made this Dune movie and they just won 6 Oscars, and he's probably like, what the hell like is going on here? He was like, I came 40 years too late or too early. And so it's like, that is a really weird way to think about with the history, because there is so much history to it, thinking about the age of the novel and how it's evolved, so many different projects, and so many almost films that happened over the years, which I think we're just so fortunate did not come to pass, because they might have just really nosedived this whole franchise to oblivion before we could even get to Villeneuve. So there's a lot. It's just, the road is not just the last 3, 4, 5 years, it's decades. And I think it is affirming. And it is kind of like confirmation bias, right? Like, who cares about the Oscars? Hey, but Dune just won 6 Oscars, so that's pretty cool. But hey, that's like I said, awards are what you make of them. And I think that again, they really did bring their A game across the board, and I'm just so relieved that almost every single one of these people is coming back to do Part 2, because that's the thing about these people that work at such a high level as artists and professionals. When they reach that pinnacle, or like they get that hit of success, like that only gets them to go higher. Like they only want to top themselves with their next achievement. And I think that that's even truer when you're doing a Part 2 to something that you like started. Now you're like, okay, I have to finish this in like the most extravagant way possible. And I think that's something that you can also think about with regards to, we were talking about casting recently, and what kind of effect does this have in that kind of sense of things? Like, wow, this movie just won 6 Oscars. That's another thing you have to think about as far as like its reputation. I would love to, these people gotta be thinking, well, I would love to be a part of that. Like, I'd love to be working with these people, these high caliber professionals, and I would love to try to add to that legacy and to make the next one even better. Have my face in there and have my talents like utilized in that way. I think that also, if Florence Pugh's on the fence, if Austin Butler's on the fence, or whoever else is in play, maybe after last night, they're like, I don't even have to think about it anymore. It's interesting to think about, because I think there are a lot of variables, but it's just really exciting. And it is like, watching your team win the Super Bowl. I was, especially with that first, we're going to talk probably about the controversy and kind of the inconvenience and the unfortunate state of the pre-show, for lack of a better term. But when I was watching those Dune wins come like one right after another, like 4 in a row, I was like, oh my God. I was like, again, jumping off my couch. Like, I was just so excited. So there was something to that. But there was definitely some unfortunate elements to it that I hope won't be there next time around when we do get to Part 2.
I'm not going to lie. I cried a couple of times when a couple awards were handed out. And, my fiance just looked at me and she's like, congratulations. I'm like, you don't understand what this means for this franchise. You really don't. It's a big deal. And her friend was like, I really want to watch it. I'm like, we can stop the awards right now and we can watch it. So I think it's great. And, it's also, respect for Denis that a lot of these people are coming back, because especially like, we'll use Joe Walker as an example. Hey man, I just want best editor, so I'm going to go work on a big project. It's very much in sports term. Your team wins the Super Bowl, and now it's like, well, I'm a free agent. I'm done with my contract. I can go anywhere. Anywhere I want, but I'm going to stay here because I enjoy working with you, because I believe in you. And that's something everyone, I think, that won an Oscar last night for Dune was thanking Denis, because Denis is the brain behind this. Frank Herbert brought us Dune, but Denis brought it to, I hate using the word the masses, but to the general public now. People know it because of Denis Villeneuve's vision.
And that's an important thing ahead to the filming of the summer. I think this does have like such an impact to the state of mind, because you're basically going there. Denis has said himself about how there's just as much pressure, if not more, on creating the second film, because you have to follow up that success. But going in there knowing that you've created something that's been recognized critically in this way with 6 Oscars win, I mean, it has to feel good. Definitely. So I definitely think that's going to be a positive factor for this production. And what you were touching on, Garin, about this being great for the genre of sci-fi, like a movie like this getting that recognition. And that's been a recurring theme. If I look at the coverage that we've done in the past months, it's a commercial popular success. This movie has crossed 400 million worldwide at the box office, and that's not including like all the streaming, Blu-ray sale and all that. I mean, it's been a commercial hit. It's been a popular success, topped like a lot of those popularity surveys. But then on top of that, it's also received all this critical acclaim, and while you can say like awards don't mean everything, but I think when you look at it from the perspective of it's really hit the success on both sides. Like a lot of these other science fiction movies, either it was a popular success, but like a critical, well, there's not much to it. There's not much depth to it, and like no awards for that. But like to see like a story like Dune with all this history to like reach both levels of success, I think that is really important for the franchise and moving forward.
I don't want to draw parallels too much between Lord of the Rings and Dune, because I've done it too many times on this show. But the difference that I see is the fact that Peter Jackson had shot all 3 films. Obviously, they went back to do pickups, shooting and other things before they would launch and release each film. But Denis was under a lot more scrutiny and pressure because he had to prove himself with part 1. He didn't get the whole budget to do both parts. He had to prove it. And what I'm really confident about, and we've talked about this on the show quite a bit, the loyalty and the deference that his creative team has to him, and you heard it last night. You heard a number of those Academy Award winners with the Dune team honoring and acknowledging Denis as the leader, as the reason why this all came together. That's what great leadership, that's what great directing is, right? Because these people are all incredibly talented. They could now write their own ticket, many of them now Hans Zimmer always could, but so many of them now can do more. But you can just sense in what we've seen and behind the scenes stuff and what we know about a Joe Walker, a Greg Fraser, these people, they want to work with Denis. They want to be a part of this. They want to complete this film. And so again, I know, and we'll talk about it, but I was, of course I was crushed when I heard that Denis was not nominated for Best Director, but you can see the team acknowledges him as the best director. They feel that way because he is that good and he's that good of a leader. So I'm just thrilled that we're going to be able to get part 2 with the right people, the right team, to have this feel like a complete piece. And then of course, I'm going to hope that the team goes on to do Dune Messiah as well, right? Because we want it to feel the same, because it's the same experience, the same universe.
I think the biggest impact that the Oscars have now is Warner Brothers / Legendary can be like, okay, You made an awesome movie. It's also getting all these awards. And like we said, awards are not everything, but for the studio executive are like, crap, we
They
just won
like
six.
awards.
Yeah, we just well, Warner Brothers just picked up 6 for this, you know, and I don't know, they probably won more than 6 last night in general, but it also opens the door to be like, so tell me a little bit more about this TV show that you want to make, Mr. Villeneuve. You know, it's all that. So that's why it's such an important wins for all these. You know, and it's interesting. I watched The Eternals in the past week since we didn't record, and I actually liked it a lot. And I forgot the director's name, but she said that Denis Villeneuve was a big influence on the Eternals when she saw like what he was doing with Dune.
Yeah, that's speaking, you both made really good points. I mean, Garin, it is interesting to think back to like September when this thing was getting ready to premiere at Venice. And I mean, I was always, you know, optimistic maybe, but yeah, just that even after it premiered and everyone knew it was going to be great and like it was going to be amazing and it was going to be what we were hoping it would be. But even then, when it was still rolling out in different countries and we were waiting for it to come to the US, we're just like, oh my gosh, like I really hope this thing makes money to get a part 2, because if it doesn't, like that's just going to be like the worst possible outcome. And here we are. It's like, I just, that anxiety that I had back then, it's just like everything just feels so like great now. And everything that could have and should have happened almost to a T has. And that is just such a great feeling when you had such high hopes and like such optimism and faith in something. And as we're all kind of saying, that faith being rewarded does offer so many opportunities potentially. And for part 2 and potentially television projects, and just the way that each member of the cast and crew is viewed, you know, moving forward. I think it all builds, all these things build on top of each other, from, you know, festival run to box office to award season. And it's, you know, Denis, talking about him in particular, you know, and well, I guess this is where we can kind of maybe segue a little bit into like the negative aspect of the way some of these were presented, which is they have, you know, this pre-show where a lot of people are still on the red carpet, like movie stars are out there like doing their interviews and getting their pictures taken and all that. And there's basically an hour before the actual telecast starts where they announce 8 of the 23 categories. And a number of those categories were categories that Dune was expected to be competitive in. Now, part of this, the Academy decides, is because they want to shorten the broadcast. They want to make it more appealing to people, I guess, who would rather watch a 3-hour award show rather than a 3.5-hour award show, which I don't think is anyone alive. So that was the thought process there. Ultimately, what you have is just these weird, truncated, edited, literally, versions of these speeches and these presentations that are just edited back into the main telecast. And so 4 of these Dune wins I heard and saw for the first time just scrolling through Twitter, basically waiting for the notifications to pop up. And that was really unfortunate, and I think pretty sad and disappointing in a lot of ways, because it's just not like growing up, and many of us have referenced watching the Oscars, you know, previously. And if you're a movie fan, like it is something you know, sometimes look forward to, and, you know, you want to see who's going to win and if your favorite film is going to win. And so to see it go down like that, it just felt so strange and just wrong. And, you know, the Oscars are whatever, like let's not like put them on like the biggest pedestal, but I think there is something to be said for seeing something live and finding out live and seeing someone's reaction and not just watching them like quickly walk on stage, grab their award, say their speech, which has been like chopped to pieces and like lost any charisma or meaning of anything. And then we just kind of move on to the next thing. I think that was really unfortunate. Again, I hope that's something that we don't have to deal with in the future, and hopefully some of these artists get their kind of second run at it with Dune Part 2. But the thing that I would note with regards to Denis, is, as I was getting to, is while all this was going on, he was there. He was in the room. He wasn't out on the carpet. He wasn't taking pictures or doing interviews still. He was there for every one of those you know, artists that got their Oscar. The sound team, you know, Hans Zimmer was not there, but, you know, the score won during that portion of the show, as well as Patrice Vermette winning for production design. And I just think that was it was great because as we were saying, they did all mention Denis, and they did all recognize him specifically and call him out and say how this was really for him, and it was kind of everything that was kind of owed to him. And he, getting to see his reaction to them winning and them saying that in their speech, I thought was really great from the the little clips that I did get to see. So obviously that says a lot about him as a leader, as a director and a filmmaker, and someone that, yeah, it is like you have to get this. You're almost like, I loved your sports analogy, Simon, where it is like, yeah, you're a coach and you're trying to rally your players, and you might have to overcome significant odds, and there can be a lot of difficulty making a film. It's incredibly stressful and difficult process. But when you have someone that you believe in that much and that treats you well and that you enjoy working with, yeah, you don't want to run off to another team or another project. You want to stay right where you are, and you want to continue to build. And maybe we're looking at a dynasty, if we want to keep using sports terms, potential. We could be looking at 2 Best Picture nominated films once Part 2 comes around, maybe 3 Best Picture nominated films by the time Dune Messiah comes around. Who knows how many Oscar wins and Oscar nominations down the line. So yeah, it's just, again, you really can't overstate just how good it feels, and to see that, even if it was, again, like I was saying, unfortunate in the way some of those were presented, and Joe Walker being one of those as well. And his speech, even in the way they presented it, it was such a short speech, and they really sucked out the meaning of what he was trying to say. And it was a funny, kind of heartfelt, speech. So I would certainly seek out those videos if you can, of people in the room watching them before they got edited, or other transcripts and things. Cause I think that is a good part of it. I mean, you just won. It's the pinnacle of your career. Let's hear you talk for a minute instead of just cutting it down to 30 seconds.
Going back to that sports dynasty thing that you mentioned, Johnny, it's kind of interesting because, yeah, Dune Part 2 comes out in 2 years. If it's still on schedule, and I believe it will be. Dune Messiah, who knows? Maybe they'll wait 5 years so our actors can age. But in the meantime, all these actors and everyone that's part of this team, Joe Walker will probably end up working on something else between Part 2 and Messiah. And same with Greg Fraser, Zendaya, Chalamet. So it only shows that, hey, these Oscar-winning actors or production designers or whatever part of the film are now working on Dune Messiah. So it comes with that. I hate those banners when you watch a movie trailer, Oscar nominee, Oscar winner. But if they want to use that for Messiah or Part 2, we can have that. We are creating an all-star team with this Dune production. And I say we have anything to do with the movie for the franchise. But it is kind of very much hey, we have all these amazing artists working together. Some might say, Denis Villeneuve created a team of Avengers to fight the evil cinema that might be out there by then. But no, honestly, it is nice to know hey, Hans Zimmer won for, best score. In 2 years, he might be working, I don't know, he might be doing Captain America, Falcon's Untold Story, whatever, right? Creating that score. But we'll always be hey, did you know Hans Zimmer won an Oscar for Dune Part 1? Did you know that? Joe Walker won for editing, and now they're working on this. So it is a shame that a lot of those speeches get cut. I think it's funny in a weird way that the editor gets his speech cut in half. But I've always liked the technical awards because maybe I'm more of a technical guy, and I agree. You need those elements to make your team work. It's very much like a car. If you only have 3 wheels, you're going to need that 4th one. And that could be sound, that could be editing, that could be the visual effects.
And on the website, I did gather all the acceptance speeches all in one place. So if you want to see the uncut version, just head over there.
I wonder if the average person that goes to the cinema and watches a film cares about, hey, best editor, cool. I thought that just happened magically. It's best visual effects, best sound, best makeup. I wonder if the average person, the average Joe Schmo cares, or they want to see their celebrity, their favorite celebrities being on screen and because that's what will sell a ticket. I'm going to use Joe Walker again because he's my hero right now in life. Hey, a movie edited by Joe Walker, or we're going to use Chalamet, a film by starring Timothy Chalamet and Zendaya, like what would get more view? People would go, "Oh wow, I love the editing of Joe Walker. He's amazing," for the non-film fans. But if you go Zendaya, Andrew Garfield, a movie that's mediocre will sell tickets because of the names. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, that's certainly, I mean, that's definitely a point. And like, I guess this is the last thing I'll say about it, because it's the Oscars. And like I said, they're going to do whatever they want. But I think to that point you're making is the Oscars, people watch the Oscars that don't know anything about movies, really. Like, it's just something you do. It's like the Grammys, it's like the MTV whatever awards. It's just a Thanksgiving Day parade, whatever the hell, whatever it is. You just watch it because it's people and you watch movies. So I'm sure you're probably going to know something or another that's in there. And so I think to take that, you have millions and millions of people watching the show. Take that opportunity and make something fun and entertaining, but also something that like lifts up the art and makes people care about a Joe Walker, or makes people care about a Patrice Vermette and a Donald Mowat and all these other artists. Like, have great segments or in like parts of the show that show why these things are important, that show historical precedent. Like, they could use very famous old movies that people actually know already, and they can use those as parallels. Like, there's just so many good ideas they have. I mean, anyone that's competent could produce the show and do a better job than with what they're doing already. So I feel like that is something where, hey, Timothy Chalamet, have him and Joe Walker, they made the movie together, have them do something for the show, like a little segment where they talk about something about Dune and the editing. I think it should be celebrating and like entertaining, but also almost like educating in a way, and kind of lifting up something that maybe people don't know that much about or don't think about, and then make them think about it in a way that they hadn't before. So that is something where I think, especially for something like Dune, where you're having that mesh that we all have talked about today and all along, it is that perfect mesh of art and entertainment and commercial and educational and philosophical and political. Like, there is so much stuff there, and it made $400 million. Like, who thought that was really going to happen? So I think that's a prime example of something the Oscars should be lifting up more, and that's why I'm so happy. And I think why we're also happy that it's got 6 Oscars, because that is making people, showing people care, but also bringing that even greater attention to just Joe Schmo on the street, saying, hey, well, maybe I'll go check out Dune. It's on HBO Max. I'll be curious to see what the HBO Max numbers look like this week after those 6 Oscar wins.
Or even just the DVD sales, the Blu-ray sales.
Yeah, absolutely. So, hey, a rising tide lifts all boats, but a rising sandworm, who knows what could happen with that?
Whoa, deep.
Well done, Johnny. Hey, I just want to make one comment about the visual effects win for the Dune team. If you look at the visual effects contenders for that award, these are mind-blowing visual effects. The level of detail and creativity and realism is just a whole level above what we've really seen to date. And the fact that Dune won this, I really believe that, and this is my opinion, that there's a reflection of the seamlessness between creating a new world, the world building married with the storytelling, because it really doesn't, the visual effect, and I feel like I'm quoting Denis, but I don't know that he ever said this, is the visual effect should only support the visual or the storytelling experience you're having. It shouldn't draw your attention away. It shouldn't distract you from the characters and from the plot as it's evolving. And so I really love that Dune won best visual effects, because that's what I felt watching the film. It just felt so natural and seamless, and that's what made this planet Arrakis come to life. So right before they announced that, and I saw all of the contenders for that award, I thought, wow, I mean, these are incredible films. Spider-Man, Shang-Chi, No Time to Die. I mean, these are incredible levels of creativity and realism. So that was just a huge, I mean, I put my fist in the air. I loved it. I loved that win because it really meant something to me when I watched the film 7 times.
I think Garen's completely right. And we talked about this when we were doing our commentary on the film. You don't want it to stick out and being like, whoa, look at that visual effect. Look at Jar Jar walking around right there. Wow, that's awkward. And that's what's great about Dune. It just feels natural. Like when you see the first sandworm, you're like, yeah, okay, that works. Makes perfect sense. I'm in this element. It's not jarring. And I've talked to people that are not Dune fans. I was like, were you okay with the sandworms? And they're like, yeah, I was intrigued. I wanted to see more. I'm like, well, you will. Don't worry. You will. Yeah. And some people will have them as pets, but whatever.
Yeah, I think the overarching takeaway for me is at the end that these wins like represent a team effort. I mean, all of these elements, on their own, like if we just had a great score, it wouldn't be enough. I mean, it would certainly help if we just had the great visual effects, like that also wouldn't make a perfect movie. But because like all these talented people came together and like worked together as a team, and we had the vision of Denis Villeneuve who was bringing everything together, like as a whole, like this created like one of the cinematic experiences of the decade in my view. And I think that this recognition just represents that this was like overall like achievement from the whole team, and not only the people who won, but the others who were nominated, and the actors and everybody, even if they didn't receive the individual rewards. So I think at the end of the day, it's just like I'm just elated to see how far Dune has come in these past months.
Well, guys, I would like to give you guys an award each as best podcast host and co-host to us. So funny enough, I got this when I first started working at Best Buy. They had like an award thing, and I got the Fremen Award because I came into Best Buy and just started working like Paul and entered their little camp. I was like, well, don't make me too much like Paul because he might not like what I'll do to the store.
Okay, so that was my final thoughts. So let's do a round table. Overall final thoughts on the film awards.
You guys, I just am so excited that we as a team, we're watching the Oscars because the film that we love so much is nominated for 10 categories, right? I couldn't be more excited going into it, but like Johnny said, I could not be more elated with 6 wins. And I know it wasn't Best Director and I wasn't Best Picture, but I really believe that's coming. I just believe it's coming.
Yeah, 100%, Garin. Again, it's been a long time to get to this point. It feels surreal. I'm proud of like where this has all come, and just watching it as a fan, as a movie lover, as a Dune, lover of the novel, and I, as a fan of Villeneuve, as a fan of all these actors and these artists behind the camera as well, and it just feels great. And I know this year is going to be fun because they're making this part 2, and we're going to find out more information, and we're going to go, and I'm sure we'll see pictures of them out in the desert again, and some behind the scenes stuff. And I think this just gives just the right energy and the right message going into part 2 for the people who actually have to go out there and make this thing, as well as for the fans that, hey, they're playing for keeps. Like this is going to be a long-term, serious, successful endeavor. And I can't wait. Again, I think we all can't wait for part 2, but at the same time, just enjoying the ride, staying in the moment, and live with this for a little while, and then I'm sure we'll get some more exciting news like down the road. But just gotta take this win.
I'll tell you this much: as a little kid that had his action figures back in '84, and growing to love and appreciate not just the toys, because that was my gateway drug. I've talked about this quite a bit, but going and reading the book and finding more about film just in general. It's surreal, like that there is such a great movie of something I've been in love with since '84, and just seeing this, my favorite thing in the world is cinema. Like, I love good cinema. I went to film school. I dropped out, but still, like, seeing a film well done as this crafted by, and we'll say Denis again, but just everyone involved. Denis created a dream team, and this is only the beginning.
Yeah, so well, really happy to have had the opportunity to talk with everybody and celebrate this enormous achievement for Dune. And thanks everybody for tuning in. I just want to say, like, again, like, want to emphasize congratulations to everybody who's involved in this team, whether like you were in the crew or the cast, and of course, like all the fans who made this popular success that it is by seeing it in the cinema multiple times and whatnot. So all of that counts, and I think this is a win for all of us. So congratulations everybody. So with that, that's the wrap for Dune Talk this week. So let's start with you signing off, Simon.
Once again, thank you for everyone that likes, subscribes, shares, all that stuff. I'm going to be the annoying YouTuber right now. Please like and subscribe if this is your first time around. And if you're listening to the audio show, cool. We do have a YouTube channel. Give us some love on iTunes or whatever. Write a review. Tell us if we're great, if we suck, whatever. We'll take it. You can find me on the interwebs at sdowdy, pretty much everywhere.
Yes, absolutely. To echo what Marcus was saying, yeah, this is a win. This is a win for really everyone. I mean, we want this to be great and we want more of it, and we're greedy, and maybe we'll get sick of it someday, but not now. And yeah, this is just the beginning, as the final line of Dune Part 1 states. So thank you everyone that has supported the show and the website, and has made this such a fun, exciting journey. This does feel it is like a culmination of everything that's come before it. So it is kind of like an ending point in a lot of ways. But what does Frank Herbert say about endings? This is going to be a long kind of process. And I certainly didn't expect when the movie came out in October that maybe we'd still be sitting here talking about this like all these months later. But I'm loving it. It's a great time talking to these guys, and thank you for everyone supporting not just the show, but then the film, as Marcus was saying. And I can't wait to see Part 2 6 more times when that one comes out.
Appreciate these guys. I really love talking about Dune and all the aspects of the movie. Appreciate all the support of the viewers, followers, those going to the website. Really appreciate that. You can find me on Twitter at Dune Companion. And again, thanks for joining us on this journey.
It does feel like, just like for the movie, for Dune Newsnet, it's like we're completing our first chapter, and really excited for what's coming up ahead, especially when we start with the coverage of the filming Dune Part 2. There's so much coming up ahead, of course, the TV series and everything else. Until then, stay tuned to DuneNewsNet.com and follow us at Dune Newsnet on Twitter, Instagram, everywhere else. See you next time.
We hope you've enjoyed Dune Talk. Remember to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you know when the next episode drops. Stay tuned to DuneNewsNet.com and add us to your social feeds. Be the first to hear breaking news and reviews.